Welcome to our 4th annual Harford Housing and a Local Outlook event. I'm Amy Janigan, Chair of the State of the Municipalities Task Force for the Harford County Association of Realtors and today's moderator. I'd like to ask everyone to please silence all cellular devices and to remind you that this event is being recorded and will be aired by Harford TV on a future date. Thank you. The Harford County Association of Realtors is a not-for-profit professional trade organization that is the voice of real estate and an advocate for home ownership and property rights in Harford County. This organization has over 1,500 members dedicated to providing the best experience for their clients, and not only do our members work here, but most of them live here. And now that you know about us, let me introduce our guests. When I call your name, please wave or stand, introduce yourself to the audience. Harford County Executive Bob Casserly, Harford County Council President Pat Vincente, City Council President of Aberdeen, President Hyob, the Mayor of Bel Air, Kevin Bianca, and the Mayor of Havre de Grace, Bill Martin. Each of our guests will be asked several housing-related questions and be given a few minutes to answer those questions. Gentlemen, if you see that paddle go up, it means you should begin to wrap up your answer. Thank you all for being here. Let's get started. The first topic is repurposing and revitalizing existing structures in Harford County. We chose the Star Center as our venue today because it's a great example of outside-of-the-box thinking for repurposing a vacant existing structure. Mayor Martin, we're going to start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of this project and how you were able to make it a success?
Thank you, Amy. So yes, you're in the Star Center currently. STAR is an acronym, stands for Sports, Theater, Art, and Recreation. So as everyone knows, this used to be the Havre de Grace High School auditorium and gymnasium complex. It was very unique. It was the only high school in Harford County that had a split campus. You had to walk across Congress Avenue from the academic building over to the gym and auditorium. Well, we were very fortunate enough to have a new high school built, only a couple hundred yards from where we're sitting now. It's a beautiful facility, and it's a combination of a high school and a middle school. The funding that was put into place, excuse me, the funding put into place for the new high school also funded the demolition of the old academic building that was torn down completely and made into a roughly a 300-car parking lot. But the question was what to do about this building, and this was just slated to be torn down and turned into a grass field. So we went, I approached County Executive at the time, County Executive Glassman, about keeping this building for use for the public, and it wasn't really determined for about maybe another year later. The county did not want to keep it at the time, so they said they'd just give it to the city. And the city said, okay, well, we'll take it. It's a pretty big building to run on a city budget. But we took it, and we just kind of had some faith that once people saw the potential of this building, that it could be used for children's sports, for adult recreation, for concerts, fine arts, theater, plays, whatever you want, that people would buy into it, and it has. We have received, we received a $500,000 bond bill from the State Assembly this year for curtains and lighting and sound systems. Last year, the county gave us $500,000 towards the replacement of $1 million roof. So we feel that we're not alone in this anymore, and because again, this is a big process to take care of a building like this. It's $120,000 a year just to heat and air condition. That's almost a penny on my tax rate. So anyway, long story short, moving forward, we're going to invest a lot of money into this building. We believe that local, public and private partnership will help us. But most importantly, there's nothing like this building in the region where you can have, a conference center. I call it a conference center. You can have your exhibit in the auditoriums. There's 2 auditoriums. You can have breakout classes in the classrooms. You can have your, main speaking hall right here. So there's so much potential in this building. There was no need absolutely to tear it down and turn it into a grass field. We're repurposing an old building. And again, I believe if everybody believes in this building, and we believe in this building, the Star Center, the future of the Star Center will help the citizens of Harford County. The whole region of northeastern Maryland will benefit from it. And more importantly, just add to that quality of life that we keep talking about here in Harford County and Havre de Grace.
Thank you very much. I definitely see the value to the community there, so thanks for sharing. City Council President Hayab, do you have any revitalization projects you would like to discuss?
Sure. The city of Aberdeen has two different types of approach to development right now. Our west side is doing a lot of development on its own. It's a high desired place for commercial and residential development. But our historic downtown is where we want to look at redevelopment. So right now we are working on 22 Howard Street is a revitalization project right near our Festival Park Square, using state grant dollars to acquire the building and to rebuild the bare bones of the building so that it attracts commercial use in site. We are in conversation with two different breweries that are really interested in coming into the location, which is right in our walkable space to a lot of the events that happen at the park, including Earth Day and our Christmas tree celebrations. Additionally, we have 18 Law Street, which is right off of West Bel Air Avenue. The city recently acquired and working with the Aberdeen Historical Museum to clean up the building and potentially move them into the facility there to give other uses to where they're currently located on Howard Street. Separate from that, the city is working with the nonprofit that is revitalizing the old B&O train station in Aberdeen. We've had a lot of constructive conversations with them. There was a lot of state money that came in to support that, and the county executive was helpful with that when he was a state senator. He's also offering support now as the county executive. So we are happy to see that move forward. This old train station, part of the B&O system, is the last one standing in the area. So we're looking to find uses for that and fit that out long term.
Thank you for sharing. They also sound like great projects for the city. Mayor Bianca, do you have any revitalization projects that you would like to discuss?
Absolutely, and those are great examples of revitalization from Mayor Martin and promoted you, Council President high up here. And this is a great building, by the way. Thank you for having us here. We appreciate it. So in the town of Bel Air, right on the corner of Lee Street and Main Street is, they call it Castle Grayskull, but it's the old Bel Air Armory. Many years ago, before my time, I can't take credit for it, the board and the town government at the time was offered that property by the state of Maryland. It used to be a National Guard building. We paid $1 for it. Some may say we overpaid at the time, but we're glad we did. In the back of that was the old garages. They were just defunct, falling down, not a whole lot going on back there. So the town had the vision to remodel that and to make it a business incubator space. And what that means is we have local businesses who maybe not sure of their business model yet and maybe need a kind of a little helping hand. They will apply, get accepted in the Armory Marketplace, and they pay a reduced rent for the first 6 months or a year. So it gives them a chance to figure out if their business model works, make some adjustments, and the goal of that program is to move them to a different spot in the town of Bel Air. And we're very excited that we've had 3 graduates so far. We've had Ferrari Frame and Designs that has moved to the corner of Broadway and Main Street. We've had a Love Evolution Yoga, which has moved to Bond Street, and we had our biggest success, Reb Records, which moved to Main Street right next to Savona. I think they were out of there in like 6 months. I mean, they were just incredibly successful. So we're really proud of that program. Right down the street from that, and the town can't take too much credit for it, we help out a little bit, but really it's all them, is the Harford County Historical Society, the old post office right there next to ShopRite. They have done a fantastic job remodeling that. It's now a Harford County museum. If you haven't had the chance to check it out, they just had their grand opening about a month ago. Please go check it out. It's a beautiful project. And right behind that is the old Bel Air Academy, which was a Board of Ed building. It had chain link fence, was boarded up for many years. Many years ago, a developer took a chance on it, kept the shell, was able to remodel it, keep the historic property intact. It looks fantastic. They added some townhomes, apartments. It's great for downtown walkable living. They sold like hotcakes, so we're really excited for that project.
Thank you for sharing. These sound like great projects for Bel Air. Council President Vincente, what is happening on the Route 40 corridor?
Well, good morning, first of all, and thank you for the opportunity to be here with you this morning. I'm going to echo Mayor Martin's comments about this building and this facility. It's absolutely a great addition to stay in the town of Havre de Grace. It does work well with the theater and everything else that's here, so looking forward to it. And also, we were able to house our decoy show here again this year, and it's been almost 40 years since our first show was housed in this building, so really pleased to be back. Along the Route 40 corridor, I'm pleased also to see the efforts moving forward with Copper Mine Fields. We've been working towards that goal to help bring something to light the match that starts the revitalization fire down on 755. We do believe that this is a huge step in that right direction. Also, County Executive Castley, I'm sure he'll speak to it when he gets a chance, has put together his Southern County Task Force. And as you know, over the past 6 years, we've been working to revitalize and work with our partners along the Route 40 corridor. And I'm pleased to see that the county executive is going to be bringing action, not just words, to the Route 40 corridor. And we're proud to be a part of that. He'll speak to that. Also, Perryman. We've been working toward trying to find a solution to those issues down there, infrastructure, public safety issues, and we do believe that working forward again with County Executive Castley and administration will be bringing something to that area that eases some of the issues there. And I believe that's it right now.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
County Executive Castley, is there anything you would like to add about the Route 40 corridor or any other projects you would like to discuss?
Yeah, well, first, thanks for having the forum today. I appreciate it. Can you hear me? I guess we're all right. And again, I share the congratulations on this structure. It's a great reuse. Mayor, continue to do a great job here. I also enjoy working with all three of the municipal leaders on supporting their various revitalization projects. Happy to, I was that guy who stepped up years ago on the town board in Bel Air and said, hey, we'll give you $1 for this armory. So they thought the adjutant general at the time wasn't too amused by that, but he came around to my way of thinking. Since I came into office and before, I've been committed to revitalization, especially along the Route 40 corridor, such a critical area. And you know, we've had so many studies and thoughts about this and so many false starts, so we didn't want to go there in my administration. We want to actually make a difference in the Route 40 corridor. I'm a believer in a data-driven approach. I know in my discussions with the new Secretary of Planning, she shares my commitment to a data-driven approach. There is a lot of redevelopment money available on particularly on the federal and the state, that we could impact the Edgewood, Joppatown communities, especially parts of Aberdeen, even parts of Haverty Grace. These are funds that are set aside for based upon income levels, primarily troubled areas. So what I've done with my administration is we are using a data-driven approach where we've fed all the data that we can possibly get our little fingers on into our central GIS system, and we're in the process of analyzing that with all my departments, and we're going to be rolling out soon in July to various leaders throughout the county, including municipal leaders, county leaders in general. Our thoughts and observations on what that data says about how we can address, how we can attack challenges, redevelopment challenges throughout the Route 40 corridor. And we're going to get their thoughts, their ideas on how do we convert that data, the data which tells you a better story. I mean, how many times as a leader have I looked at a problem and thought, oh, here's a problem and here's the solution. But when you really step back and look at the data, you realize, no, that looked like the problem and it looked like the solution, but neither one of those hits it. So we're gonna do a data-driven approach here. We're coming up with our thoughts on due outs based upon that data, and we're going to run that by the county leadership, and then we're going to get their thoughts, and then we're scheduling dates. I think end of August, early September, to sit down with the community. We're looking at the community center over in Edgewood, and roll this out. And the goal is going to be to target federal funding, state funding, and our own funding, and resources, not just funding, but resources, on where do we make a difference and revitalize the critical pieces of the critical communities along the Route 40 corridor, so that we can make every community, every shopping center a success. And I've already started discussions with some of the shopping center owners about some of the challenges that we're seeing based upon the data. So it's going to be a comprehensive approach, federal, state, county resources, work with municipalities, work with the local property owners, and we will be, part of that's going to be looking at some code issues. We have too many properties that are just sitting out there derelict. They're unused. They look terrible. You have a block full of people trying. Their homes look pretty good. Then you got a few in there that just drag the whole block down, right? And it really impacts the marketability, the livability of the community. So we're going to go after those pieces, and particularly the ones that are not even owner-occupied. Those are the real focus here. Generally, owner-occupied properties, people take care of it. But we've got too many out there that are not owner-occupied, and quite frankly, they're just being milked. There's no incentive to do the right thing with those properties. There's not the concern that, hey, your property's dragging down this whole neighborhood. We've been working already. We've been rolling out, encouraging local community leaders to step up. I go to probably twice a month to, we drop off the huge roll-off dumpsters into communities, and the community volunteers spend a trash day encouraging people to get rid of the old sofas, the old nonsense that clutters up the backyard, the side yards, and just generally makes the community look bad. So we're working with those volunteers as well. I'm excited about the potential here. We're going to stay on this. This isn't just a talk the talk. We're going to roll this out. We're going to give you do-outs. We're going to stick to the do-outs, which are going to be the action items that we're going to do, which will include everything from changes in the county code to funding that we're pursuing at the state and local levels, and how we dedicate county resources to support the existing communities in the county that have been challenged, that have I'm really optimistic. I think that every neighborhood in Harford County is or should be a great place to live and recreate, and that's our goal, is to close the gap completely, and everybody's going to have a nice neighborhood. Your house is going to be marketable, and that's what we're shooting for. So I look forward to working with the leadership up here and the business community and the volunteers throughout our county to really make this work and make it a success. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. I think that'll be interesting and great to see how that impacts the community. Those sound like great programs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our second topic is healthcare. There's a lot of activity taking place across the municipalities regarding the movement and expansion of healthcare facilities. Mayor Bianca, what can you tell us about what is happening at the Upper Chesapeake Medical Center in Bel Air?
Well, thank you, Amy. There's a whole heck of a lot happening at Upper Chesapeake and Bel Air. They continue to grow and expand, and it's been very exciting seeing their growth from a more local facility to a much more regional facility. Currently, they're working on two separate projects there at Upper Chesapeake. One is the expansion of the Kaufman Cancer Center. That's the taller building that they're building over there. What they're doing there is they're going to add an additional 72 beds, I believe. Half of those beds, and don't quote me on these numbers, about half of those beds are going to be surgery and medical beds. Can't do it. Pat told me not to hit the table, and I'm doing it anyway. Sorry. Half of those beds are going to be surgical, long-term stay beds. The other half are going to be observation, short-term stay beds. They're going to be offering increased cancer treatments, much longer-term cancer treatments. They're going to expand their emergency room waiting area. They're going to have an updated cafeteria. So you may find yourself on Bel Air one day and say, you know what, I'm going to go check out this new cafeteria at Upper Chesapeake. So who doesn't love hospital food? The other project, the one closer to Tollgate Road, is going to be a 4-story ambulatory institute where they're going to have a surgery center. They're going to offer sports medicine, rehabilitation, hand and spine surgery, I think plastic surgery. They're going to have a whole wide range of services there at Upper Chesapeake at that center. So we're really excited for it. They're such a great partner for us, and as they continue to grow, it's really a draw for our town because we know how lucky we are to have such a wonderful hospital right down the street for us. So we're really excited for the growth and progress.
Thank you for that update. These sound like great changes for Bel Air and the whole county. Thank you. City Council President Hayab, what can you tell us about healthcare in Aberdeen?
Thank you, Amy. The medical facility in Aberdeen is an example of a good redevelopment story. The project was originally built as a business park for BRAC several years ago, and of course, most of the business that came with BRAC went right on the proving ground, and the facility sat vacant for a long time. The city was notified several years ago through multiple conversations with Upper Chesapeake that obviously they were moving to Aberdeen for their freestanding medical facility, and I like to make sure people know that it's not a hospital because there's obviously differences in service there. But the existing building was open not too long ago, and medical offices are open now. They're accepting patients for a whole range of medical services. I know plenty of people, including people in my own family, that have moved to that location because it's more convenient for them. The facility will open on February 6th, I believe, of 2024. The facility is basically ready now, but with the agreements and the steps that are in place to close one facility, open another facility, and then obviously the expansion in Bel Air, all those need to be in place first before a new facility can open in Aberdeen, and rightfully so, that the services are maintained here in Havre de Grace until that time. Additionally, the city is recently changed some elements of our development code relating to certain clinics and peer sharing clinics downtown that mostly dealt with drug addiction, to get those facilities off of our main street to market it more for commercial businesses, make it more walkable. The businesses that are there now will be able to stay there, but over time we're hoping to open that up and market that more for retail uses, and some of those have already occurred. So if anyone's looking to move to Aberdeen, we've got plenty of good places downtown to move into. Additionally, the old Aberdeen High School, located in Festival Square off of Route 40, about a year ago opened as a cardiovascular office, and will be expanding to other uses down the road. So they're accepting patients there as well as of course up at the location on 22 next to Target. So more to come there, but our big date is the 6th of February next year.
Thank you so much for those updates.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Mayor Martin, what can you tell us about healthcare in Havre de Grace?
Yeah, well, going back 100 years, we were the healthcare in Harford County, with the Harford Memorial Hospital being the only hospital at the time. But things change, times change, and people in the healthcare industry have been working very hard the last decade trying to explain what the future of healthcare looks like. They'll talk about, the way healthcare is delivered, observation beds, some different variation thereof of a hospital. But the reality is this. Right now, as we speak, Harford County has 2 full-service hospitals. Sometime next year, Harford County is going to have 1 full-service hospital when Harford Memorial Hospital closes. So, City of Havre de Grace and healthcare, we'll lose a hospital. But I just say generally, Havre de Grace ain't losing a hospital, Harford County is. So they could have moved to Aberdeen and built a full-service hospital there, or they could have had a full-service hospital at the interchange at I-95, but we're going down to 1. I want everybody to know that. 1 full-service hospital. So with that said, if you move to Havre de Grace and you live here after next year, what can you expect? Well, we still have a lot of doctor offices on Union Avenue and around the city. We have a lot of dental offices, orthopedic surgeon, a lot of general practitioner doctors, but if you have a heart attack or you have a gunshot wound or severe car accident or something like that, you'll be taking a ride to Bel Air. But so that's what it looks like in Havre de Grace.
Thank you for that update. County Executive Casserly and Council President Vincente, is there anything on the horizon to address the growing need for mental health and addiction services, especially for children, because Harford has a shortage of pediatric mental health services and addiction crosses all socioeconomic boundaries? Let's start with County Executive.
Sure, thank you, appreciate it, Amy. So this year we, through another, working with the council president, give him credit on this, added another $750,000 to the health department's budget in Harford County, because addiction and suicide both continue to really plague our community, huge challenges with both of those. On the youth side, we've really trying to push our various counseling programs that the county's got, both online and in person, to deal with parents who've got youth with addiction and mental health issues. We are on our veterans community. Our Veterans Commission, and I'm going to give him credit, Bob Brown, who's the chair, he just briefed the county council a couple nights ago on really statewide, he's getting credit statewide and even beyond for The Veterans Commission's new program for outreach to veterans to reduce the number of veteran suicides. This is particularly important to Harford County because we've got a very large percentage of veterans in our population. It's both because of Aberdeen Proving Ground and just the tradition here in Harford County of supporting our veterans, and that community has a suicide rate that's just far too high. We continue to support the Klein Family Crisis Center that provides 24/7 emergency care, and of course working with Upper Chesapeake to pursue that as well. We'll continue to work with the local hospitals as we have. I think the Aberdeen facility that's going to be opening up in February of this coming February, with 4 new bays and 17 adult observations stations, is a huge step forward in the mental health, providing additional mental health assistance. So we're going to continue to have challenges with addiction. Harford County is going to continue to invest in our addiction prevention resources and the mental health counseling resources that we committed to for years now, and we'll continue to push forward with that. And but the challenges are there, and this is serious stuff, and I appreciate your interest in it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, as County Council President, one of the mandates that I have is I sit as the county health officer, or not officer, but chair of the Board of Health. And so that gives me a unique opportunity to work very closely with the health department on a daily basis. And it was never more evident throughout COVID. I want to thank the county executive for his investment in the health department. For the past 10 years, they've been flat funded. He sought to correct that, and I appreciate that. He's also invested in IT in the health department to make them more efficient, and that they work closer with the Department of Licensing and Permits, Planning and Zoning on different issues moving forward, because one of the biggest things that the health department oversees, obviously, is environmental health. And a lot of the county is not on water and sewer, it's on well and septic. And the extra funds that the county executive gave us will help along with that. You know, one of the things that recently happened was the partnership between the health department and Upper Chesapeake Hospital down in Edgewood at the Woodbridge Center. We appreciate all the partnerships that they've done over the years. We appreciate all the services that they provide. And the one thing that I will say about the hospitals, I agree. We need 2 full-service hospitals. And we will do everything in our power to convince the Maryland Health Commission to allow that to happen. This is not a local decision. This is a business decision by the Maryland Health Commission, and I hate to say that, but it's existed since time began. When they built Falston Hospital, Falston, the day it opened, was over capacity because they were only limited to so many beds. The new Upper Chesapeake Hospital, when it was built, it was over capacity the day they opened. Aberdeen, I believe, is poised better than any other institution to be able to expand to a full-service hospital. They've acquired extra land. They've put everything in place today to move that way, and I do believe with the proper advocacy and pushing that we can make the Maryland Health Commission understand that we do need 2 full-service hospitals. Today, if you have a heart attack in Harvard Grace, maybe you go to Harford Memorial, but more than likely you go to Upper Chesapeake right away. You don't go to Harford Memorial. Harford Memorial services have been deteriorating for years. So it makes sense to have a new facility. Obviously, we were hopeful it was going to be in Harvard Grace, but it isn't. It's in Aberdeen. So we need to support that. And we need to push for a full service hospital down the road. You know, I'm very pleased that we have organizations in Havre de Grace like Harbor of Grace. Kenny Byer's done a great job there servicing not only law enforcement agencies all across this country, but he has donated his services to local individuals that need that. So places like that, Ashley obviously, but we continue to support the health department. They do an outstanding job, and proud to serve with them. Thank you.
Thank you for those updates. The third question today is about attainable housing. At one point, every home in this county was new, and there was probably someone arguing for building it and someone arguing against building it. As elected officials, you attempt to balance those voices to create a quality of life that most of your constituents are content to live within. However, what defines quality of life is subjective and varies across individuals and time. Currently, we are facing a housing shortage, and it's harder than ever to get housing, especially for the middle class. The middle class we're defining as these are hardworking individuals who earn between $52,000 and to $90,000 a year, which is representative of most teachers, police, first responders, and office support positions. According to Realtor.com, the average selling price of a home in Harford County is currently $332,000. And according to Bright MLS, the average selling price of a single-family home in Harford County is currently $435,000. The middle class can't afford to live here. This question is for all of you. What are your plans to help entry-level, hardworking, middle-class individuals get into homes in the area? Let's go down the line, and we'll start with County Executive.
Thanks, Amy.
Sure.
So, look, I agree with the premise here that affordable housing is important. Beginning July 1st, Harford County is offering a new down payment assistance program that's up to $20,000 to income-eligible first-time home buyers. And funding for that is available through the Home Investment Partnerships Program and the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Our Department of Housing and Community Development also has 3 HUD-certified counselors that are on staff to provide free post-purchase counseling, and those counselors work very closely with lenders in the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development, and they have up-to-date information on available loan products and grants, incentives that are available to home buyers. They've also conduct monthly workshops that are free to county residents on the third Wednesday of every month, and information is available on the web at harfordhousing.org. We're committed to supporting the diverse community that we've got and make sure that they've got housing available. Thank you.
Thank you.
From the county council's perspective, one of the things that we've done is listen to our municipalities when they ask for, let's say, waivers to fast track annexation, because they need to be more competitive in the housing market. And specifically to Aberdeen, we were lobbied heavily for that, and we granted it because we understood the need that they had. Havre de Grace recently, we just did one there, a small project on Route 40. But the reality of it is that now that we've done the annexations that we've done, we have to make sure that the municipalities are able to provide the infrastructure needs that are there, make sure the county has the super infrastructure that it needs between the schools, law enforcement, fire and EMS, all of that. So we've done what we could do right now. If we were provided with meaningful legislation to look at other things, we would. But for right now, that's what we've done.
Thank you.
Thank you. And from the city of Aberdeen, we have a couple different approaches going on. On the east side of Aberdeen, there's been a couple of interested investment groups or individuals who are from Aberdeen who have taken homes that are 1,400 square feet and have rebuilt them basically from the foundation up. And these homes are beautiful. They sell pretty quickly. They're affordable, good for first-time buyers, and with the investment over there, it's helping other people in the community in that part of Aberdeen want to make improvements to their property, and actually working with the city on making improvements to our property maintenance ordinance to help lift up and help give some teeth to the city to make sure that those communities are both attractive and also attractive to new home buyers. Second to that, the city's also, as the council president alluded to, I mentioned that the city has a lot of recent annexations, a lot of new development projects coming on. Probably over the next several years, you'll see over 1,000 new units in Aberdeen. both for purchase and for rental uses, apartments, single-family homes, villas, and townhouses. The city's already approved over 1,000 units, and they're already underway. If you come to Aberdeen, you'll see them up at Ripken Stadium, you'll see them off of Gilbert Road, you'll see them off of Aldino Stepney Road, Long Drive. But to that also, the city has to be working, and we are working with the county, I think, to make sure that all the infrastructure is in place on city roads, on county roads, and that the infrastructure, water and sewer, is in place. The city has invested a lot of resources in those utilities. Some of the federal money the city received for water and sewer infrastructure is going directly to projects on the west side of Aberdeen. And there'll be other projects coming forward, probably in other directions of the city. We have redevelopment options near the APG gate on 22. And of course, we're always looking for infill on lots in the city of Aberdeen. And our comprehensive plan, which was recently finished, included a whole section on attracting new home buyers and first-time home buyers. I mean, I'm in that age group, or my age group is looking to buy, and it's hard to do so. So it's certainly something the city has been very active pursuing over the last several years.
Thank you for sharing.
Good job. So I don't think it's a secret that the town of Bel Air, quite frankly, is not doing great for affordable or attainable housing. On one hand, it's a good problem because people want to live in Bel Air and there's only so much availability and the housing prices go up. But on the flip side, my wife and I were talking just a couple weeks ago, and we're looking at what houses are selling for in our neighborhood. And I don't think we'd be able to afford to live in Bel Air right now. I mean, we bought 7 years ago, but with 2 kids, we're both government workers, I don't think we'd be able to afford to live in Bel Air. I mean, houses are selling for $500,000 in my neighborhood, and they're nice houses, but it's hard to look at a small split-level house and say, yeah, that's a $500,000 house. We need more options in Bel Air. And there'll be a couple projects coming down the pike in the years to come. Obviously, Harford Mall, which we'll talk about in a little bit, is going to be a big redevelopment opportunity. There's a gentleman who wants to invest in our community on Bond Street because historically Bond Street has been underdeveloped. It's kind of the backdoor Main Street. We kind of have a lot of parking lots that back up to Main Street, so we can do a lot more with Bond Street, and he's looking to make a significant investment onto Bond Street. We also have some units that may be coming online across from the library, the Hickory Flats, but really I think Adam touched on it, that it's unattainable for the younger generation, and I'd hate to say that there's people younger than me, like my sister-in-law, who is kind of losing hope as to whether they'll be able to afford to buy a house, and you hate to see that because that's kind of the American dream, owning that piece of property, making significant investment in the community, putting down roots, raising a family. So we want to make sure that we do a job that people can still have that American dream, but I think we need to do better in Bel Air, honestly.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I sit here, this is such a loaded question because when I came to Harford County, I moved from Severna Park, Maryland. I went to Severna Park High School, went to Salisbury, and when I got out of Salisbury University in the mid-90s, my parents were up here in Havre de Grace, so I moved here in the mid-90s. When I got a job teaching, every teacher I worked with at Aberdeen Middle School lived in Havre de Grace in an apartment because it was the one most affordable places in Harford County. We were the cheap place in Harford County. So now we're not. Now everybody's going to say, what are you doing for people for affordable housing? So it's kind of like we've done this whole circle now of where everybody just sent all your workforce housing people. And I love the word workforce housing. I'm a teacher, so I'm workforce housing. But if I marry another teacher, I become middle class. So I mean, it's just I'm just hearing all these things about affordability. But so here's my perspective on everything. Havre de Grace is a geographically small city. We're bordered by I-95. We've got the Susquehanna River, the Bay, and the wonderful town of Aberdeen to our west. We can't really, we could expand if we jumped over 95, but that's not in our cards. And so, when you think about what we have left, the Bully Rock to develop, Greenway Farm to develop, not the Upper Chesapeake property on I-95, but the Green property and Ionella property up there, that's going to bring another 200-300 single-family homes online. We probably have a little over 2,000 plus new homes we could build. Now that product's really up to the builder, what they want to bring to the city of Havre de Grace. We do have the villages of Blenheim Farm, out where the old Bill Baton's was on 40, just outside of, it's in city limits, and those are apartments where, again, if you're a single teacher or something like that, that's a great place to live. Howard Grace does have pockets of homes that are more affordable. You know, I mean, I could give you street names all day long if you want to say, hey, I could afford that house. Or maybe I can't afford that house. It is our goal, it's my goal at least as mayor, to make Howard Grace a dream for everybody. I talked to new teachers at my school. I've been here 25 years now. So 25 years later, we go from every new teacher finding an apartment at Concord Cove Apartments or, you know, somewhere renting from Allen Fair. And then I meet all these new teachers now in their 20s, like, I really would love to live in Howard Grace. I'm in Howard Grace every weekend with my friends. Is there any place? And I'm like, call this guy, and nothing. And I feel bad. I want everyone, you know, of course, we're all partial to where we live. I want everyone to live the Howard Grace life. You know, the walkability, the events, the beauty of the outdoor recreation and the history. But it's not. I mean, it's, you know, it is what it is. It's getting expensive. And quite frankly, yeah, I don't know if I can afford to live here anymore. I mean, I'm glad I bought my house when I did over 10 years ago. But that's what the voters asked me to do. They wanted their community safe, so we made it safe. They wanted it clean, so we make it clean. They want things to do, there's things to do. They want better restaurants, they want arts and entertainment. Well, those just jack prices up of houses. So, you know, again, it's like, it's one of those things where, you know, we want people to have the dream of living here and being part of our community. We just, sometimes you're a victim of your own success, I guess. I mean, if you know what I mean by that. It's just, there's a cost to improving your city, and that's, the cost goes up, if you're lucky. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. One of the many difficulties in getting a home is the development of homes. According to a top developer in our area, building costs are skyrocketing. Everything from materials, transportation, and labor have risen year over year with no relief in sight. And jurisdictional fees such as impact fees, water and sewer fees, driveway fees, and permitting fees associated with building one single-family home average around $25,000 per home, and these expenses are passed along to the consumer, making it even more difficult to qualify for funding. While we aren't suggesting any of the elected officials here today have control over gas prices or the establishment of state regulations that require some fees, however, many fees are managed locally. This question is for all of you. What plans, if any, do you have to assist in making it less costly or easier for businesses to do business, including home development? So we'll go down the line, this time starting with Mayor Martin.
Okay, so fees, yeah, well, we have all the fees that everybody else has in Harford County, but we have like a real special fee. That is the water and sewer hookup fee, which is about $18,200. I think we're number one in the county as far as we're the highest fee, right? Yeah.
You
okay.
are.
All right. We win that one. Okay. All right. We win the highest fees in the county for water and sewer hookup. But I said it a year ago, and I'll say it again. I'll try to truncate it in less than 1 minute. You know, when the community of Bully Rock came online over 20 years ago, and Greenway Farms was identified, and all this new construction, our 1950s wastewater treatment plant could not hold the sewer capacity. I mean, if everybody flushed their toilet at the same time, it would explode. So, in order to accommodate the new development, we had to get a new wastewater treatment plant. It was about $48 million. It would open in 2009. It's state of the art. I mean, the water comes out so clean you can drink it. I mean, it's an amazing treatment process that puts water right back into the bay, extremely clean.
Have you done that? Have you drank it?
I pretended I have before. I did the old switcheroo, you know, but, you know, they hand me, they had this stick that dips it as it comes down, you know, I'm like, hey, what's going on? Look over there. Okay, that's great. But, yeah, but really, it gets tested like 10 times a day, and it's just very good water. It goes right, we send it cleaner than it comes into the water plant. But anyway, that was a $48 million plant that the state granted us about $20 million towards, and we're on the hook for a $28 million mortgage. So why do we charge people $18,200 a hook into our water and sewer system for new construction? Because we basically, you know, we identified how many potential homes we can bring online. We have a $2.1 million debt service payment every year, and we divide the homes with the debt service payment, and that's what it comes out to be. Now, what can we do locally to control it? Well, right now it is what it is because we have an obligation to the state to pay that debt. And our water and sewer fund only has two sources of revenue. Your water bill, the rate you pay for water and sewer, and capital cost recovery fee, $18,200. That debt service fee should be ending in 2027. At that juncture, when that water plant's paid for, it'll be up to future mayors and future councils to sit back and crunch the numbers again and see if that, cost is still sustainable, if they can lower it, or whatever they got to do. I mean, I'm all for changing fees. I mean, many times I've changed the tax rates in the past, up, down, sideways, to meet our needs. So I'm not afraid to touch fees. It's just right now, that's what it is, because we have to look the state in the eye every year and say, yes, we did our best to meet our obligation to pay this debt that, you lent us the money for. So hopefully the city of Harford Grace can be a little more generous with the cost of new construction moving forward, probably after the next 3 to 4 years.
Thank you for that.
Well, in the town of Bel Air, and first of all, Mayor Martin did a great job of explaining, I think, why some fees are necessary. I mean, we all, Harford Grace is a waterfront community. I spend a lot of time on the water in the summer, crabbing and fishing. I want my kids to have a clean and healthy bay. So some of these fees are necessary. And just to be honest, I don't think there's ever been a developer in the history of the world that said, yes, I enjoy these fees. I look forward to paying all of these fees to you. I mean, some of that just kind of goes with the game. But in Bel Air, some of our fees are passed through to the county because we don't treat our own sewage and stuff. But what we've tried to do is look at what else is important to a developer. And in that vein, we've heard time and time again over the years, the parking minimums in Bel Air. The parking minimums are too high, can't make it affordable. So we actually this past year, we hired an individual to crunch the numbers, a data analytics guy to do the parking study for us, to actually put something we can hang our hat on, because somebody may have one opinion, somebody may have another opinion about what parking is. So we wanted a data guy to actually look at it, give us hard data that we can study, and we can adjust our parking minimums. We actually just got that study back a couple weeks ago, so we'll take a look at that and see how we can help maybe make things a little more affordable for developers. We also heard a lot about stormwater management, which again is a state thing, but where they can put stormwater management on the properties they plan to develop. We did just recently adjust one of our development regulations. They can put it in the front, which was something they wanted subject to approval. Some stormwater management ponds I think look beautiful, some of them look like stormwater management ponds. So we're aiming more towards the beautiful side of things. So hopefully that'll help alleviate some of the concerns. But there's not a whole lot of wiggle room in the town of Bel Air to adjust fees simply because a lot of them are not our own.
Thank you.
Kevin and Bill were both right on with this response, and these fees are most of the time unfortunate but necessary. We're all dealing with aging infrastructure. Harford Grace has some of the oldest infrastructure in the county, and they've done a lot of work on that. The city of Aberdeen has plenty of old infrastructure as well, and the hookup fees really help cover those costs as well as the water and sewer rates that all the users pay. The city of Aberdeen has a community called Swan Meadows that was built for government housing back during the expansion of Aberdeen Proving Ground. And the infrastructure that was put in was, old terracotta pipes. Everything is falling apart. The infrastructure is 60 plus years old, 70 years old. And the community has been dealing with this issue for a long time. The pressure is being turned down in the community so that the pipes don't burst. And really, the fees that we collect and the rates that we send off to users helps us, improve these communities. This project's going to be, a $12-13 million project to replace the water and sewer lines and do the stormwater management that's necessary in this community. So it's an unfortunate part of playing in the game of development, and we all, deal with that on our own. I think we're 17.5 now, I think, Bill. So we're working our way up. So maybe trying to catch you guys in the near future. Unfortunately, but it is what it is. We've had a lot of improvements to our water and sewer plants over the last several years. There's a lot of regulations that come from the state and federal government that we have to keep up with to ensure that the plants are meeting those standards. We are all dealing with new regulations every year. We're all going to have to make more investment in the coming years to keep up with those standards. Our water goes right out to Swan Creek, out to the bay as well. We want to make sure that like Kevin said, the bay is treated properly. Our DPW director swears that it is just as clean, if not cleaner, when it comes out to. I haven't seen him drink it yet either.
Drink it, Adam.
I know you're not. I'll have to maybe pull a bill on that one. But it is a state-of-the-art plant. It's an old plant, but it's been a lot of renovations to it, and it's definitely cleaner water going out than it is coming in. Whether it's coming from the wells that the city has, whether it's coming from the water that we buy from the county, whether it will be very clean. I know it will be very clean coming from the city of Harford Grace in the next year or so as we expand our partnership with the city. So it's an unfortunate reality, but we all have to make sure that the infrastructure is kept up. And quite frankly, if we have good infrastructure, it keeps up the quality of living in any community, and it keeps the values of the homes up so that when someone goes to sell their home later, it has a good value to it.
Thank you for explaining that.
So the council works closely with the administration when we have time to take a look at our fees in different areas. Recently, we looked at the tipping fees. One of the biggest problems that we've had over the years is that we don't look at these things on a regular basis. A lot of time passes when anything's changed. I remember in 2014 when we came in and we had to look at our water and sewer rates that had not been touched in 20 years. And it's just too long of a time. Recently, like I said, with the tipping fees, same thing, 2014. It needs to be changed from time to time. But the council, again, works closely with the health department to try to streamline some of the issues and some of the fees that they have there. And I look forward to working with the administration if they send some things over. The biggest problem is I'm doing a project right now for myself, one of my rental houses, and I cannot believe the cost of materials. It's just astronomical. So a lot of the fees that you all are experiencing are out of our control. And then I just have to say one thing. We did touch on the city of Harford Grace and its fees last night because we had an adequate public facilities meeting. But we sat around the table and we talked and we said, look, you're talking about the safest city in the country, basically. You're talking about waterfront property. It's a great place to grow up. More families are moving to the city of Harford Grace than before. And it's putting a strain on our elementary schools. So we're looking at possibly building a new elementary school at some point. It just, some of the fees you just have to have. There's no question about that. So with that, Mr. Castley.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we have to recognize what's the source of some of our challenge here. We talked earlier about the lack of affordable housing. Look, I talk to folks all the time who are moving into Harford County. Unfortunately, they're not moving in to take new jobs in Harford County or teach in our schools or work in our sheriff's department. They're moving in because they currently live in Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and they're not satisfied with the quality of life. They're not satisfied with the level of public safety. They're not satisfied with the quality of the schools, and they don't plan on relocating their job. They just want good schools and a safe community, nice housing, and a good quality of life. That's not an appropriate economic incentive, quite frankly. I'm not really sure the long-term solution other than to hope like heck that some of the other jurisdictions are able to turn it around and do government right and provide their folks with a decent quality of living. Here in Harford County, talk about small businesses and the challenges they face. My view is if you want to start up a donut shop, I want you to be a really good baker and not an expert in development. So we put in place a navigator, and the navigator's job is to work with new business applicants and walk them through the process. The navigator is going to work with you from the day you file your application until the ribbon cutting to make sure that you don't have to weed your way through the bureaucracy and be handed from bureaucrat to bureaucrat and frustrated. The navigator will walk you through the process. We've also continued the county's investment in IT. When our inspectors go out, they're going out with an iPad. They're actually filling in the information on site. This isn't a matter like filling in handwritten notes and they get lost. As soon as the inspections occur, they can be scheduled and processed immediately, so that folks know where their project stands, whether it's been approved, what the challenges are. If a inspector falls ill, that does everything they did is right there in the computer, and it comes right back. As far as just the level of fees that go along, when you pay your hookup fees, you're paying your share of the investment that the folks who have been here have already been investing. We look at the county's primary sewage treatment plant is Sod Run. Sod Run is a state-of-the-art sewage treatment plant. We meet or exceed federal requirements, state requirements in everything. And you go out there and you can see where It's the whole history, because you can see where the sewage treatment was 20 years ago, and then you can just follow it further down the line as we add in more and more screenings, more and more testing, and treatment requirements to meet the latest federal standards. It's a very expensive operation. You look at our water treatment plant over in Abington. That's just one of them. I mean, we've got wells around the county. These are really expensive operations. It's all state-of-the-art computerized. It's up on Abington Road. We're connected into the Baltimore Big Inch. It's a very expensive operation, and the pipes, we're continually investing. We operate our water and sewer as enterprise funds. So what that means is, when those fees and those bills, they don't go to pay other things in the county. That we plow all that, everything that you pay into there, that goes right back into upgrading, maintaining those systems, and those aren't cheap. So I wish that we were still back. Be nice if we could still be in the 60s where everybody just kind of connected to a well and you drug your well, and that was up to you how deep you wanted it, how clean you wanted it. But that's not where we are right now, and everything has to be by federal standards, and those all have to be processed through. We try to maintain our fees to not make a profit. Our fees for the various development fees are intended and calculated to offset the cost. If we say, well, to conduct a typical inspection, it's going to take this person 2 hours to go out and do the inspection. That's what we estimate the fee would be. And how much does that gal make? What's her salary? So how much are we actually out of pocket for that? And that's what the fee is intended to do, not to make us richer, not to make a profit off of the inspections, but to just simply recoup the cost. Because why should the folks down the road flip the tax bill to support your home inspection off your new home? I mean, that's kind of the idea here, that if you want to move into the community with a new parcel, that you're going to put the same level of investment that the gal down the road has been putting in for the last 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years, and the immense investment they made in the community. So we want new folks in, and we try to maintain the fees, the rates, and all this at a reasonable rate. We have programs to support folks who don't have the income. That's why the first-time home buyer programs are there, to try to give them a leg up. But we'll continue to work this, in the end, developers are going to price a home in Harford County to be marketable in the region. And if we drop all of our fees, their competition isn't with our fees. Their competition is with how much can they sell that home for. And if we drop our fees, you're looking at some profit there too, right? And so what a lot of this is you're eating into what the developer's profit's going to be in the end. But we'll continue to work on this, and I'm pretty proud of the efficiencies we have in our water treatment, sewage treatment plant, the whole enterprise fund, and how that's operated. These are first-rate operations with very professionally done people. You don't read about Harford County sewage treatment plant going offline or being incompetent. You don't read about neighborhoods where their water is just gone. I mean, we run into problems, they're fixed promptly. We got teams out there, they have the latest technology, they scope stuff out, they run it, and they get it done. And we work closely also with Maryland America. You look at the investment, Maryland America has made a huge investment in the new reservoir up above Winter's Run there, just outside of Bel Air. That was a lot of money spent, but now the reliability is there, but the folks who are tapped into that have to pay for that additional investment over years. But it's worthwhile in my view, because you've just made the water service all the more reliable, increase the capacity. So thank you.
Thank you for that information. Next question is, the association was extremely pleased when the accessory dwelling unit, or ADU code, was changed by the county in 2019 to allow the marketing of homes with these amenities. However, we would like to have the code expanded to allow a homeowner to use their ADU for anyone and not just family. An example might be a caregiver for a senior, or an individual with special needs, or someone attending college locally. President Vincente, what are the chances of seeing legislation in the near future to address allowing non-familial ADUs?
So as in the past, I mean, speaking for myself, I'm always open to have conversations about any legislation, and I'm sure my colleagues would be as well. we would need to have something brought to us, something for us to take a look at, and to go back and do some background on. We would bring in all of our experts at the county, planning and zoning and DILP, to kind of give us some understanding from them as well. But just like the ADU bill, Councilman Schroes brought that bill forward. He presented it to us. We did our homework on it, and we thought it made sense. I told you before, personally, I put an addition onto my house so my mother could live the last 16 years of her life with us. And it was a very, very positive experience. So I am open to any legislation within reason to not just about this, but anything, to have come in and sit down. My door is always open, and I would welcome the conversation.
Thank you. County Executive Castley, how do you feel about putting this change in place?
Yeah, I think the council president just sort of begged the question there, is the change. What is the change? Obviously, that change comes from the county council. That's not, I'm not a legislator. I think, carrying forward with the council president's example, it would be tough to think that somebody's going to be really upset that you've expanded the side of your home to allow your aged mother or father, a parent, to move in with you. Pretty low impact, right? There's not much there. And you say, well, how about if they move into my house and I let the caretaker live there? Yeah, probably most people say, well, that might be okay. And you say, well, how about if I just open that up as a rental unit and let anybody that wants to rent from me there? And then your neighbors might say, wait a second, these are R1 properties. You just made yours. You just increased the property density here, and you're making, so if you're going to do that, we'll all do that. Now we just increased, double the density of this neighborhood. So yeah, I mean, the devil's in the details on this. Yeah, do we want to? If you've got an ADU, an accessory dwelling unit there on your home, do we want you to continue to be able to use that for the to improve your quality of your life? And yeah, but we'll have to see. It's in theory, there's stuff we can do. We can probably expand it. We just gotta be careful, because you expand your use, your next door neighbor is thinking, wait a second, that really. You just move the whole brand new family, and you got a rental unit that I never envisioned. I have my private home here, and your private home here, and now between us is a whole new rental unit with a whole new family just moved into the neighborhood. So somewhere in all this lies the sweet spot of where can we go to effectively use accessory dwelling units without burdening the neighboring, infringing upon the property rights of the adjacent landowners. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayors and county or city council president, how does your municipality handle ADUs? I'll begin with City Council President Hayab.
Thank you. The city currently allows ADUs for a multitude of residential uses. It's not limited to familial uses. However, we obviously have permitting issues, setbacks, and obviously can't do commercial uses in those additions. The city doesn't really get hasn't received too many requests for the ADUs. I think in the last year at least while I've been on council, we've had one permit in the last 4 years for an ADU. But the city, like the county executive and the council president have alluded to, we're always looking to, if a piece of legislation comes forward or a request comes forward, looking at options to revise the language that's in place if a problem becomes, prevalent. But it's not a major, issue that the city generally sees or a major request that the city of Aberdeen experiences.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Well, in the town of Bel Air, we recently revisited our ADU code. It used to be called cottage housing in Bel Air. Now they're called, accessory dwelling units. And what we did, we expanded the definition a little bit. It used to be just immediate family. We changed that to have extended family. So if you have an aging aunt, uncle, somebody wants to live with you, that's now allowed under the code. We also do allow caregivers now. So if somebody is caring for somebody in that house, that is also allowed. But I think County Executive Castley hit the nail on the head. There's a fine line between ADUs and rentals. And I think right now, I think this code works for Bel Air because we do have aging population in Bel Air, and I think there's going to be a benefit to a lot of people who are able to have that caregiver or an extended family member live with them. But you don't want to turn it into a short-term rental situation where anybody's coming in and changing the quality of that neighborhood. So we think this works for Bel Air, and to be honest, you know, we're not going on Ancestry.com to look up your aunt, see if it's actually related to you. We're not doing a genetic test here. We're going to take your word for it for the most part. If we get a complaint, we'll investigate, but we think that's a good fit for Bel Air, and hopefully it'll benefit some of our citizens.
Thank you. And last but not least, Mayor Martin.
Sure. Havre de Grace being an old historic city that did not have any zoning laws until 1982, we have a lot of cottage houses on our unique shaped lots all throughout the city of Havre de Grace. And we're not as much going after who's in it, but rather the purpose. I mean, currently the council has issued a moratorium on short-term rentals, or basically Airbnbs, which has become more prevalent because the council wants to take a deeper look into where the city should allow them. And so right now it's still being worked on. Like I say, it's a legislative issue. And as far as my office goes, I'm just waiting to get direction from the council so we can enforce whatever they come up with. You know, so like I say, the city of Havre de Grace did not have a zoning law until 1982, so we have a lot of unique situations. Imagine putting zoning over a 200-year-old historic city. You know, there's no such thing as one size fits all. There's a lot of exceptions. So that's where we're at.
Thank you for sharing. We're going to switch direction a little bit and talk about the Amtrak stuff. Mayor Martin, can you talk about the status of the Amtrak bridge?
Okay. So, I don't know, maybe 5 months ago, we had 4 or 5 months ago, we had an updated meeting with the Amtrak folks. First time they've reached out to us probably since COVID. It's coming. Trains are coming. You know, new bridges being built. The deadline or the starting line is probably about maybe 3 years out when they're really going to start in earnest to start, you know, you'll start seeing things. So as you know now, the current bridge that goes over the Susquehanna River, the one that kind of goes near, if you know where David Craig Park and the 7-Eleven is on Union Avenue in Otsego, that's the bridge I'm talking about. Amtrak uses that bridge primarily, the MARC train. Every once in a while you'll see a CSX train on there, but that bridge is being torn down, and the reason is it's an open track bridge, and so high-speed trains have to slow down because of the suction of the air that comes up from the track, and have to slow down when they go over that bridge, and it's kind of like a choke point for the whole Northeast Corridor trail transport system from DC to New York. And what they want to do is they want to build 2 bridges. So they're going to leave the current bridge in place, and just to the north of it, when I mean north of it, I mean like, you know, yards away, they're going to build a new bridge. And that new bridge is going to be made out of concrete. It's going to have a concrete base with gravel in it and 2 tracks. And then once that new bridge is online, they're going to tear down the old bridge and build another one right next to it. And from a distance, it'll look like one bridge. They're going to build them so close. But when you get up close to it, you'll realize that it's actually 2 separate bridges, 2 tracks apiece, 4 tracks total. Yeah, so they think it's going to be about a 5-year project, maybe 2032, 2033 perhaps. It could be finished. These are all preliminary numbers they're giving us. I mean, the project's going to be in the $1 billion plus range. It's going to be a very big project, and it'll definitely change the way we live in Havre de Grace for a handful of years. I mean, with all the construction going on. It also changed the approach downtown. If you're coming off of 40 throughout Seago Street, and you hit, you know, Union Avenue, you make that right where the Amtrak bridge is, all that embankment is going to be pushed back. It's going to be a lot more open. The road pattern be different. I mean, it's definitely going to be changed, but in my opinion, from what I've seen from the concept plans, sometimes change is good, you know, and it'll really open up, you know, the vista. When you're coming out Otsego Street and you make that right on Union Avenue where the 7-Eleven is, all that's going to be pushed back. That bulkhead, that stone wall embankment's going to be pushed back a lot, and it's going to be some different traffic patterns there because of where they got to put the first bridge pylon on land. But, you know, one thing we learned, man, if the railroad wants to do something, God himself can't stop it. You know what I mean? He's like, if everyone's going to do it, they're going to do it. But they've been very nice, and they work with us. They listen to us. They've actually listened to a couple of our suggestions. So, I mean, they're not like coming here and just telling us how it's going to be. They're actually saying, hey, look, this is what we're going to have, but might be a couple things we can, work on. So they've been working with us. So that's what I know. I mean, the date isn't written in stone yet, but it sounds like it's going to be 2027 when they start in earnest getting to work.
Thank you for those updates. City Council President Hayab, can you talk about the status of the Amtrak station?
Sure. So the train station is a huge benefit to the city of Aberdeen, one of 2 stations in Harford County, the other one being in Edgewood. The station has been a focal point of the downtown. It's been beneficial to us as an applicant and became a TOD, so transit-oriented development community, many years ago. The station, of course, itself is it needs a bit of work, and it has been a priority of the city for about 20 years, really, to make progress there. The city recently acquired a federal grant for $4 million from our, from our congressional delegation for design, acquisition, and engineering of the station. The city's plans have gone back, as I said, quite a while, and it's basically the desire is to make it a whole square station square, And the city has acquired properties with grants around the facility to help with, control over the properties in the area as we look to redevelop the area. The funds are being utilized through the Maryland Department of Transportation and working with the Maryland Economic Development Corporation on that to really get everything in place. It's a federal process, and anything with the trains, anything with the federal government takes time. It's a lot of trying to communicate between each other. The city really is vested in this project because it really has, for years, the station and the surrounding infrastructure has kind of divided the 2 sides of the city, the east side of Aberdeen to the rest of the city. And we were really adamant about making sure that the final product is both welcoming but also accessible for residents on both sides of the tracks there, and providing a good pedestrian walkway and access to residents on both sides, and also creating an environment that is welcoming and friendly to people who come through Aberdeen. A lot of them, of course, go to the Aberdeen Proving Ground, and the link station, Harford Link Station at the Aberdeen Train Station is the busiest one in the county. So we really want it all to come together as a working entity there. The city also recently applied for a fellow through the Baltimore Corps, basically similar to AmeriCorps, but having a option, an individual that is specialized in revitalization and economic development, and hopefully that individual will come on soon for a 30-month period to help us with that process as well.
Thank you for those updates. Mayor Bianca, can you talk about the changes taking place at Bel Air Mall and Homestead Park?
Absolutely. As I'm sure you've driven by, Harford Mall is going the way of the dodo bird. Malls are not really a thing anymore. So there's a couple phases involved with what's going on at Harford Mall. The first phase is currently happening, where they're building what is supposed to be an Amazon Fresh and a couple other retail/restaurant options there on the side. They're finishing that up now. They have some traffic improvements they have to do on Bolton Street, which will help the community back there, Legacy at Gateway, access that property. So they're very excited about that. They got a few things to finish up before they move on to the use and occupancy permits. And then we'll find out, I guess, when they apply, what other retailers are going to go in there. But that's exciting. And then the next phase planned, they haven't submitted yet to our planning commission, but probably in the next month or 2 they will. Between the Macy's and the furniture store, they're planning some mixed-use development where there'll be retail on the bottom and housing units on top. Initially, they said about 200 units. That may change. I don't know. We haven't seen their full submission yet, but it'll be an exciting opportunity for Bel Air because the mall is, has not been the best for a couple years now. So we're excited for that opportunity, and we're excited to see what happens there at that intersection. And it also will come with a lot of traffic improvements there because, it is a heavily trafficked intersection. So we're excited to see some of those improvements happen, hopefully improve the flow of traffic over there. And then in Homestead Park, we're doing a couple great things with Park. In Homestead Park, I don't know if you guys know where that is. It's off of McPhail Road. It's kind of terrifying because you have to park on McPhail Road and people speed on McPhail Road, then you have the big hill. So you kind of park and you hop out your car real quick and run down the hill to the park. So what we're doing is putting on-site parking so you actually don't have to risk your life going to a park and playground. You're going to park on-site, there'll be handicap parking, it'll be handicap accessible, it'll be fantastic. We're having dedicated pickleball courts because apparently we have quite the pickleball community in Bel Air, so come play some pickleball with us in Bel Air. The playground will be upgraded. It'll be fantastic. And then we just recently finished redoing Shamrock Park playground, which is right next to Shamrock Park, where we actually made that handicap accessible too for the first time. We put a paved path on both sides leading to it. We put the synthetic playground surface because as somebody, I have 2 kids, 6 and 3, we spend a lot of time at playgrounds. Every parent will tell you Shamrock Park playground, if it rained in the last week, your kid's coming out incredibly muddy. So we put that synthetic surface down. Kids are going to love it. We put some new equipment there. We're going to have a ribbon. It's open now. You can take your kids, go play, but we'll have a ribbon cutting in a couple weeks to show it all off. But we're really excited about that. So every one of our parks and playgrounds will be handicap accessible. So it'll be a great thing for all.
Thank you for those updates. That sounds like great for the community. No matter the business, businesses create jobs. People want to live near where they work. What are your plans to draw in business, both large and small? And specifically, County Executive Castley and Council President Vincente, can you talk about the warehouse moratorium and its possible impact on future business here in the county?
Sure, thanks, Amy. So I have to just disagree with a little bit of your premise there, no matter the business. I mean, I talk to folks all the time. They don't want their kids to graduate from our colleges and our high schools and have to go off around the world looking for jobs. They want more jobs here. And they're not talking minimum wage jobs. They're not talking about stacking boxes. They would actually like to have real jobs, that they're career jobs, that you can actually raise a family, buy a house in Harford County and stay here. So no matter the job isn't really true. That's not what folks are looking at. So we've got, to bringing those jobs in, we've got a lot of opportunity. Aberdeen Proving Ground is a major draw. Aberdeen Proving Ground it has a worldwide reputation. If you don't know why the small Ukrainian army is able to do what they've done, look no further than Aberdeen Proving Ground. Their role is to identify emerging technologies throughout the world, bring them in, and leverage them for the defense of not only the U.S., but the entire free world. So it's a huge potential draw. We're working really hard with APG and the defense contractors every day to leverage that job potential. Those are good jobs. Now you look at, so where are those jobs located? Unlike Baltimore County that has I-95, I-695, I-83, and a couple other major interstates, I-70, we have I-95. That's it. That's our major interstate. I don't foresee us getting another interstate coming anywhere through Harford County, so it's what it is. What does that mean? That means the land along 95 is really critical to the future of job opportunities in Harford County because industry wants to be along routes for transportation, and that means I-95. You can bump on 40 for a little while, but you got to get back on 95, and our nation's investment and our state investment in 95 is just mind-boggling, the trillions of dollars. So every interchange on 95 is critical to us. Every parcel along 95 is critical to the future of our county and what our workforce can be. When I looked at the mega warehouse industry, I looked at, you get it's not uncommon to have 1 million square feet, and you take that up 60 feet high and you can cube it out. You don't take many people to operate that, and the people that are there, you have a few high-tech folks, but by and large, it's technology, and what they do is they ship in massive quantities of goods that are made somewhere else in the world, and they put it in a warehouse here, and then when they need it, they ship it out. What do we get for that? We get a ton of truck traffic that we have to deal with, the air pollution that we have to deal with, the noise, the degradation of the surrounding properties. So do we need some of these in America to make this work? Obviously we do. But we've got to be smart in Harford County and recognize that we can easily fill up all of our remaining property or land that we would need to grow industries that your kids want to work in, that you want to work in. We could rapidly fill all that up with a series of mega warehouses. The one mega warehouse project that was proposed that prompted the impairment, that prompted the moratorium, the square footage of that was more than Camden Yards plus plus Raven Stadium plus the convention center, plus the arena, all of that land would just go into one mega warehouse. I mean, look, so we got to look carefully at that. And then folks say, well, my gosh, you're sending a terrible signal. I haven't seen that, quite frankly. My economic development folks are working hard addressing some really great interest by folks who actually make stuff. And here we are in America right now where the big cry is bring it back here, make it here. When we have it made other places, what do? They make it cheap, but they steal the technology. They don't recognize the copyrights or the patents, and we lose control of it. So there's a huge push to bring stuff back here. Harford County is very sellable. We do have good schools. We do have good public safety. We got a grazing. We have good housing. We have so many public amenities like the mayors we're talking about, great places to recreate. So we're a strong sellable market, and I keep hearing that, well, gosh, when you do a moratorium on warehouses, you send a bad signal to the business community. I find it quite to the contrary. What it says is to the community, to the serious business people, is, hey, this is a community that really cares what they look like long term. They're not gonna. They're interested in providing. They're looking for some place where they can recruit 25-year-old person to come in who's got a master's degree and is a computer whiz to come and spend the rest of their life. That's what makes them marketable. Well, that kid doesn't want to move into a community where he has to drive 20 miles for his job, an hour each way through traffic. They want to work right here. So I think it makes us more marketable. I'm not seeing a slowdown. Our economic development folks are working real hard. They're out every day, and I know I have a lot of meetings with serious business proposals, folks wanting to bring serious business into Harford County, and I'm really excited by that. And I think Harford County has a great future. We're going to continue to look at how we utilize the remaining industrial zone land, commercially zoned land that we've got, and make sure that as we develop that out, it improves the quality of life for everybody, the people that are here now and the kids that are not even born yet. They'll have great places to work and make Harford County a great county. So thank you.
Thank you.
Harford County is a great county.
It is a great county. No, I mean for the future. For the future.
Into the
you gotta
future.
keep that. Yeah, we gotta look
Yes.
at the future.
Yes. I'm not quite sure where to start on this, but we are a business-friendly county, but more importantly, we worry about the quality of life of all of our citizens. And regardless, County Executive mentioned Perryman, regardless of what goes into Perryman, those citizens have the right to great infrastructure, public safety, road access, and to me, that's more important than anything, no matter what business goes there in the future. So we are mindful of that. We are paying attention to that. We're talking to all interested parties. I stay in constant conversation or constant contact with the county executive and try to make him aware of everything that we're doing to bring a legislative result to this issue, working with all the interested parties. We talk about property owners' rights when we talk about this moratorium. And it's not just one individual's property owner's right, it's everyone down on the peninsula. We're concerned for everybody. And I want to try to make sure that when we do this, we get it right. There is a possibility for business to go there. Is it going to be large warehouses? I have no idea what's going to go there. None of us do. We are absolutely concerned about all of our business, job creation, and again, quality of life. So we honored the moratorium that the county executive asked us to take a look at. We had a piece of legislation that we thought was not a good fit, needed some more work, so we asked the county executive to come back and apply for or ask for the extension, which he did. And we granted the extension. We did limit the amount of time because we want something back in front of us when we come back in September so that we can move this forward for everyone's benefit, not just the business community, not just for the individuals in Perryman, but for the entire county, because we want to make sure we get this right. And I think that covers it pretty well.
Thank you for that update. Mayors and City Council President, can you talk about attracting business? We'll start with City Council President Hyab.
Thank you, Amy. And I just want to piggyback real quick on what the council president and the county executive have talked about. You know, the work that they're doing on the moratorium is, I think, is very important for the whole county, particularly on the south end of the county. It certainly impacts, I think, the city of Aberdeen more than the other municipalities, given its proximity to city roads and our infrastructure as well. So I commend the work that both gentlemen and the county council are doing to work out a solution there, because it certainly impacts the city as well on that front. But to the question, the city is really focused on our redevelopment in the TOD area, like I described before, which is near the train station area of downtown Aberdeen. We have a tax credit program available right now to property owners to waive the hookup fees up to a certain number of EDUs for projects that are interested in coming to downtown. So we talked earlier about the impact fees, $17.5 that they pay for pre-EDU in Aberdeen. So up to a third of those are available per project. So you're looking at a big opportunity for a project, if it wants to come to Aberdeen, to save some money on that front to attract to the downtown area. Additionally, the city works with business owners to apply for state programs for assistance, tax credit programs, as well as the facade improvement program that the city offers to property owners. We recently awarded multiple facade improvement grants to properties in Aberdeen. So this is where a business wants to improve their exterior of their building to attract customers and clients, and the city will pay up to half of the cost for qualified projects, up to $50,000. So the city is actively trying to get that money out. It's money that's granted to us through the state, and we are very fortunate that it's been utilized. But there's always more money, so anyone has a business in Aberdeen, we're happy to work with you to give you some money for your facade improvement. But really, the city is just really focused on being a good partner and helping move businesses along the process that can be sometimes a hassle, as well as we have a really vibrant and growing Main Street program with Ms. Vicki Horn running that, and it really has been beneficial to the city, and we've really seen a lot of investment in the downtown. We have Say Delicious is a new bakery in downtown Aberdeen, so come by for cookies and donuts. They're the best around. Get your pizza at Frank's, and so it's really a good opportunity to come to Aberdeen if you're coming to the city to do some business. Support a couple of local businesses right downtown while you're there.
Thank you. These sound like great programs. All right,
Could've brought
Mayor
some donuts
Bianca.
for us.
I know I should have brought some donuts. I'm
Rude.
sorry.
I think Mayor Martin touched on it earlier, where if you build a great community, businesses want to participate in that, and they want to bring their business to where you are. And we're very fortunate in Bel Air, where we have a great mix of large national retailers and then a lot of small local boutique businesses. I mean, if you need to go to Dick's, TJ Maxx, Sephora, any of that national chain, we have all that in Bel Air. If you want to walk down Main Street and hit your local boutiques, you go to a great restaurant, you go to the record store, you go to the comic book store. These are all places my kids go. It's a great mix. I mean, you really have it all in downtown Bel Air, and we're very fortunate to have a great economic development team in Bel Air that works hard to get the data together. We just completed a market study of things that we're looking for in Bel Air, and we'll be able to reach out to other businesses, see if we can attract them into Bel Air. We do have a fantastic Bel Air Downtown Alliance. Like Adam talked about, they have a facade improvement program. So if you are a business in our Main Street community and you want to have better signage, a better awning, they've really worked hard with a lot of local businesses to make it that cute Main Street look. And it's great to see when you're driving on a nice Saturday. It's great to see people walking up and down Main Street with shopping bags in their hands, stopping to get lunch. I mean, that's what you want for a vibrant community. So we try our best to have that mix. And things constantly change, especially in the national retail area. One business seems to go away, another one will come in. So we have we have another chicken joint coming, Raising Cane's, right there at the old Pete's Cycle. That'll be coming soon. So you can get all your chicken needs right on that stretch of Baltimore Pike. Yeah, you excited? Hey, look at that. Come to Bel Air, sir. Have some Raising Cane's. All right. We have some other new businesses coming, so we're just excited. It's an exciting time in Bel Air. We think we're doing a great job. We hope to keep that sense of community with our main streets, and hopefully if we get some Bond Street improvements going as well, that'll add some more retail space. So it'll be exciting in Bel Air.
Thank you for those updates. All right, Mayor Martin.
I'm just excited about the Raising Cane's coming.
That's it.
Maryland. You have no idea how far I have to drive to go to Raising Cane's in like Southern Virginia or somewhere. It's like, anybody ever been there? Raising Cane's. They're all over the country. They sell one thing, chicken tenders, fries, and Texas toast. You either get the 3-piece, the 4-piece, or the 5-piece.
This is my PR man right here.
I'm
This is
telling you,
great.
it's
Yeah,
like,
you're
but my
hired.
daughter's the one who taught me about it. It's like, so everywhere we go now, she has to get out her app and say, let's see if there's one there. Anyway, I'm happy. You guys will laugh when Raising Cane's comes, but
We'll have to check this
there'll be a
out.
line a mile out the door for it.
Did it
Trust
for
me.
you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. No, so in Harford Grace, there's two kinds of businesses because we actually have one of the oldest industrial parks, one of the oldest ones in the state of Maryland, off of Old Bay Lane. And so, so downtown in Harford Grace, we have, Ebonics took over for Huber Corporation. We have SciTech. And down Old Bay Lane, there's multiple corporations. We have Schmuckers that produces the juice, like, for New Year's Eve, when you get your kids to non-alcoholic, bubbly apple juice and what was like a champagne bottle. That's what they make, the kind of products they make there. Dunlop Corporation that makes tires, while they make uniform equipment, boots and things out of rubber. So we do have businesses in Harford Grace where many of my local citizens do work. So that's important. A lot of times the focus is always downtown. Well, the downtown businesses are wonderful, but a lot of downtown businesses are owner-operator businesses, maybe one part-time employee. We also have to think about the larger buildings that have 55 to 100 employees, where about half of them live in Harford Grace, or even, maybe Aberdeen area. So that's important too. We did something a few years ago that blew them all away. We actually paved Old Bay Lane. Politically, it's always better to pave a road where you have 100 voters on it than it is to pave a mile-long road where there's factories on it. But we paved it for them. He's like, it's paved. We're showing you love. We appreciate you having your business here in Harford Grace, especially, used to be the medical evacuation area by the National Guard grounds. And the ambulances would take people on Old Bay Road. And if you weren't hurting in the ambulance, you would be by the time you got there with all the potholes. So it's important. That's all about infrastructure and taking care of people who invest in your community. Now, downtown businesses, again, as we said, the most we can offer is, great public access to good streets, public safety, people not throwing bricks through your windows, not graffitiing your buildings. Pick up the phone, ambulance comes. You pick up the phone, a police officer comes if you need them. And also doing everything we can to market and promote Harford Grace as a place to live, work, and play. Those are the things we try to commit to our businesses. Maryland in general is not always the best state to do business in. And here in Harford County, the county government tries to make it easier, and in Harford Grace, the city government tries to make it easier. One of the things I did when I first became mayor was I reduced the personal property tax rate. I couldn't completely get rid of it. But we reduced it a lot on what people pay taxes on their equipment and things like that. But we try to show the love every way we can in our appreciation as a city. But it's like Harford Grace, like I said, it's an old historic city. You go down Juniata Street, just a block from here, and just on the other side of this building, and you got a factory. At lunchtime you see people walking across the street with their lunch pails. It's like something out of a Bruce Springsteen song. It's like, so we have all the industry here, manufacturing businesses, and we got the boutique shops, and we have the restaurants. So it's a myriad of businesses, and of course, again, Route 40. Route 40 has industry too. We have hotels, we have businesses, we have grocery stores, we have restaurants, gas stations, and stuff like that. So we do everything we can in the city of Harford Grace to let our businesses know that we think about them, we care about them. We keep the city clean, we keep the city safe, we keep people coming here, and it's just a vital part of our city.
Thank you for that. Every government entity across the county is subject to comprehensive zoning and land use management plans. Council President Vincenti, how often are they considered in the county? And when they are up for consideration next, what major changes, if any, do you see being considered?
So the council's more involved in the comp rezoning process than the master plan. That's on the administrative side. My understanding is the master plan will probably start spring of '24. It is an 8-year cycle, if you will, 8 to 10 years. The county executive can speak more to his thoughts on the process or what's going to be taking place, but I'm sure based on the current atmosphere, there will be a great spotlight put on the land use plan. But the process will shortly, about a year be a year long after the master plan starts. They'll shut down zoning. We'll get into the comp zoning process. In 18, I believe it was, 17, 18, we had, I guess it was, 17. We had very few in District E. I was a District E representative then. And I think I only had like 11 or 14 requests for upzoning in District E, compared to the process before had over 100 and some. So I have no idea what to expect as far as volume, but we do look forward to that process. And individual property owners will come to us and present their case to give a thought or a look at maybe upzoning their property or not. So that's the process.
Thank you. County Executive Casserly, I am sure your administration will have a great deal of input. Can you share some of your ideas with us today?
Sure. So the last time I was involved in this process for Harford County was 2005 and 6, and shortly after we voted, I stood up, took off my suit, and put on a uniform and headed off to Iraq and didn't return for 10 years. So I'm hoping a better run with it this time. We're in the process now with my Department of Planning and Zoning is working now on updates to the county master plan, which we call Harford Next. And a big aspect of this is community participation, and a focus of our effort here is going to be on transparency and community involvement. So we want, for both the rezoning and the comprehensive plan, we want the community have input, meaningful input, and we're going to make sure that your input is available to the rest of the community, and that everything that's done is totally transparent, and the community, the business community, the residential community, everybody has a say in this. I'm a believer that it's not my plan, it's our plan, and that the plan can only work if the entire community has buy-in to this. So I'm not pushing, Bob's vision. I'm here to facilitate Harford County's vision for this. So we're tentatively scheduled to introduce the Harford Next to the County Council winters or early spring of 2024. And then the rezoning tentatively for the fall of 2024. I guess that agrees with you. That's what we're tentatively, we got to firm this up. And then currently, I'm not personally considering or pushing any expansion of the development envelope, but that's up to the community. I personally think that, ask my folks, let's focus more on redevelopment, revitalization of the Route 40 corridor, make better utilization of what's already out there. I'm not satisfied that past efforts to revitalize the Route 40 corridor were really undertaken with the level of zeal and intensity that were necessary to produce meaningful results. And part of my Southern County task force is to kickstart that and put some more oomph into that. And I look forward to merging those, seeing both of those efforts sort of merge in the long run. But this is an important process, and I hope that the folks watching this out there and the folks who watch it later on video recognize that this is how our county grows, how our county develops, how our county changes. And this is the process where you need to be heard. It's being heard, the wrong time to be heard is when you see the bulldozers running in the lot next to yours, or the buildings going up, the traffic being changed. At that point, people don't do that if they don't have the permits and they haven't gone through everything. So if you want to know what your community is going to look like, if you want to have a meaningful say in what your community is going to look like, you need to become involved in this process. You need to, it's going to all be online. We're making this easy for folks. You'll be able to go online and follow it. If you miss the live meetings, you can look at stuff in video. You can click on your property and see what's in your neighborhood, in your community. You can look at anybody else's. So we look forward to public participation, and what I promise you is an orderly, transparent process. I'm going to work with Council President Vincenti and the members of the County Council to make sure that happens, and then we're going to all have to work together, the 8 of us, to make this a process that realizes the vision that the citizens of Harford County see for our great county. I'm optimistic that we're going to work together and produce a great result.
and delivered by fall of '25.
Right?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So the best way for citizens to get involved there is online, you said?
Well,
In the process.
people are welcome to come in person. That's great, but I think for most folks, that's a little bit of a burden to sit for hours in town and attend meetings, and we recognize that people are busy. Their lives are very busy, and so because of that, hey, love to have you in person. It's always nice to have company in everything we do, but recognize that that's just not a real practical alternative for so many of our folks. So we're going to make sure that you don't have to be there in person, that you can participate online and understand what's happening online.
Thank you very much. So we're going to shift over to the municipalities, and we'll start this time with Mayor Bianca. What comprehensive zoning and land use bills have you recently considered or are preparing to consider, and how often do those take place?
Well, thank you, Amy. We actually just finished our comprehensive plan last year, and much to County Executive Cassidy's point, it's a long process. We had a bunch of subcommittees that would meet involving local nonprofits, citizens, business leaders. We had community input meetings at the Armory. We really try and get the input from our community as we're moving forward. And the comprehensive plan kind of guides the next 4 to 5 years. I think this one goes through 2026. So it'll kind of guide the next few years as to what Bel Air is going to look like. It includes things like potentials for annexation. We're a little different than Aberdeen and Havre de Grace. We're kind of stuck where we are. We only have very limited annexation opportunities. We did recently just pass 2 on different sides of Tollgate Road, one property right next to the copper mine facility across from Tollgate Village. We brought that in as R1, and then the old houses on the Tollgate Road by where the new Dick's is going to go, the old houses that got knocked down, we brought that property in for commercial purposes. So it kind of informs us as to where we go, and now we're kind of working through some development regulation changes. That's where we changed our ADU code, we changed a few parking things, nothing very major in our development regs. One of the hot button issues was the short-term rental issue, so we kind of pulled that out and set that aside to do some more work on that, like Mayor Martin was talking about. I want to see what's best for our community on that one. But in 2026, it'll get updated, maybe not a full redo of the comprehensive plan, but it'll get updated, so there'll be another opportunity for public input and see where our community goes from there.
Thank you very much. Mayor Martin?
Yes, our comprehensive plan has just begun underway. Pretty soon we'll be soliciting public input and having many meetings where the public can participate in this process. Other than that, there's been a lot of small little house cleaning chores that the planning committee has been bringing to, our council planning committee has been bringing to the dais. One of the things I'd like to see done is we proposed this legislation, but it's kind of been sitting for a little bit. I'm trying to get it to see the light of day again. Earlier I mentioned Havre de Grace, historic city. We had no zoning laws until 1982. And people coming, so you're either grandfathered pre-82 or you're not. And people coming into our wonderful city that don't quite understand the laws of city right away, it becomes kind of a messy situation. Like, oh, you just put a new AC unit in your house, good for you, but you put your, your outside unit on city right away. Oh, what city right away? I don't know what that is. Like, it's, and so, well, no, you need a license agreement. And so one of the things, we have a lot of city right of way that could be used for the citizens' use in the future, whether it is to expand sidewalks, change parking patterns, whatever, maybe a water line. And that's why the city governments retain that right, the hold on to that land, because you never know what you could do with it down the road for the benefit of the public. However, there's a lot of land we've also identified in our city that we could never see in a million years that land ever being used for public use, but it happens to be titled city right of way. And we'd like to be able to, I'd like to see a process where if we can identify land that no matter what, there's never going to be a water line there. No matter what, there's never going to be a sidewalk there, but it happens to be city right away. Transferring that land to the owner under the understanding that they pay the taxes on that land. So some things like that I'd like to see incorporated in the future, because that, we have an awful lot of city right away. I heard a story one time that the reason, if you stand on Union Avenue, the city rights of way on Union Avenue, if you stand in the middle, is 60 feet in each direction. And I heard a story, and I'm sure the council president heard the story too. I heard a story that the reason why the Union Avenue is so big is so a horse and carriage can do a circle, can turn around. So I would love to have horses and carriages in my town. How romantic would that be? But we don't have them anymore. And so, again, I believe that one size fit all is just not a good approach when it comes to people's communities. Every house, every street needs to be looked at individually. So that's just one thing I'd like to see as we approach some house cleaning chores. But anyway, back to comprehensive plan. Every 10 years, we just started it. We'll be inputting public input pretty soon. It'll be advertised very well on our websites and social media outlets, things like that.
Thank you very much.
So the City of Aberdeen just completed our 10-year comprehensive plan this spring. It was about a 16-month process. And as the mayors have alluded to or have indicated, the process was very open to the public, lots of public input sessions across the city, talking with stakeholders, working with the Planning Commission, who led the effort on this as their directive. And we really are going to look at it every 5 years as well as where are we at, but we're also going to look at it every year, which is something new the city hasn't done in the past. The council really wants to see where we are, what are reasonable objectives and reasonable things to see for our 5 and 10-year horizons for the city to achieve. But second to that is the comprehensive rezoning. The city is actually currently in the process of our comprehensive rezoning right now, which is also done every 10 years. About a month or so ago, more than a month ago, the city sent a letter out to every property owner, which I think is about 5,000 properties roughly in the city of Aberdeen. And so everybody got a letter explaining the process. We received 22 applications for changes to zoning within the city, but as well as the Planning Commission and the Department of Planning will also review properties where there's split zoning, and the council will have the option to provide feedback on properties throughout the city and feedback that we receive. We have some communities that are a whole neighborhood that wants to see a change in zoning because their land use is separate from their zoning. And it's a challenge logistically for a whole neighborhood to individually submit applications to the process. So we're considering all of that. The Planning Commission is reviewing that now, and the council will get the recommendations this late summer, early fall to put together a final piece of legislation to change the zoning throughout the city if there's necessary changes. Additionally, the mayor has talked about several changes to definitions within the zoning, whether it's our TOD, IBD, which is our integrated business district zoning, which is a pretty flexible zoning use on the west side of the city of Aberdeen, commercial, residential. So lots of work that's currently going on in that, lots of public feedback, and of course, the process is mostly closed now, but we're looking at it every year, and of course, a big look in 5 years, whoever's in place to review it then.
Thank you for those updates. And this is the last question today, and it is also for everyone. What resources would you like to share with our audience, like a website or Facebook page? We will start with Mr. Casserly.
Sure. So we have the best way to follow Harford County government is through www.harfordcountymd.gov. That's harfordcountymd.gov. You can follow us on social media, all the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of those. We're available on that.
And I'm available at county executive at harfordcountymaryland.gov. County executive at harfordcountymaryland.gov by email. You can get me on my phone at 410-638-3350. That's 410-638-3350. We're happy to hear from folks. I got a staff available to help me respond, and look forward to seeing and hearing from people throughout the community.
Thank you for that information. And you, President Vincenti?
So yes, Ms. Harris in my office produces a newsletter each month. It's a great way for us to put out what we're doing and how you can reach us at any time. Our email is pvincenti@harfordcountycouncil.com. My cell number most people have already. So our door is always open and available for any questions or any issues or challenges you may face all around the county. So don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you for that.
And thank you again for having us here today. The mayor would be remiss if I didn't mention the skate park coming to the city of Aberdeen. That is a big project coming to the city of Aberdeen. It's funded through grant dollars. It's a state-of-the-art facility on the east side of Aberdeen, North Dean Park, and I encourage everybody to check it out. It's opening in the next couple of weeks, and it's really been reviewed by a lot of high-end people, and they skate enthusiasts across the country, and they say it's the best one in Maryland, it's the best one on the East Coast, and these are people who typically use the big parks in California. So if you have anybody who's interested in that, come to Aberdeen. It's a great park. We already have some kids out there using it, even though it's not officially open yet. But to reach out to the city of Aberdeen, the best thing to do is get on your phones and get on the city of Aberdeen website, aberdeenmd.gov, and sign up for our Aberdeen Advocate that comes out every Monday around 5 p.m. It's a newsletter. It comes out with happenings in the city, whether it's city-sponsored or business openings or 5K runs or highlights of different events and occasions in the city. So please consider signing up for that. We also have Aberdeen Main Street on social media that talks about a lot of the work that's going on downtown in Aberdeen. We're on Facebook as well, and the mayor can be reached at mmcgrady@aberdeenmd.gov, and I am HIOB@aberdeenmd.gov. We work regularly hand in hand on things that go along in the city. And there's a lot of exciting things happening in Aberdeen, from redevelopment and the growth on our west side, as well as the redevelopment, particularly on the east side of Aberdeen. And we encourage you to come over and see what we got to offer. So thank you.
Thank you. On to Mayor Bianca for any Bel Air resources.
Yeah, well, Bel Air just recently hired a public information officer, so our website is updated regularly now. It's belairmd.org. You can find all our contact info on there as well. Our social media, primarily Facebook, is a great way to find out about information, what's going on in town as well. We try and also share, we have a very active nonprofit community in Bel Air, and we try and also share what's going on, including, I'm going to give it a plug because I really want this to happen. Bel Air Lions Club is doing a soapbox derby October 22nd down Main Street. We're going to shut down Main Street, put some kids in cars, send them right down there from Office Street to the Armory. So please go online, get some information. You want to sponsor a car, it's a great opportunity. This will be the first time we've done this since, I don't know, the 60s maybe? Yeah, it's been a long time. So we're excited. We want to see it a success, so please go online, find some information. But you can always reach out to us, call Town Hall, email us, whatever we can do to help. We're there for you.
Thank you. And Mayor Martin?
Thank you very much, Amy. Great job with the questions and moderating.
Good job.
And so Harvard Grace depends what you want. You want information about the government, or do you want information about the events? Because it seems like people want a lot of both. So if you want to learn about the government, it's on the website. It's Harvard of Grace, spelled out, harvardgracemd.com. It's a very great interactive website. We just finished recently putting all of our council meeting minutes going back to the 1800s on there. So if you're a citizen that loves to dig into, how did this become this? I mean, it's a great search engine. We have an interactive map of our DPW projects. Wherever, if we're fixing a pipe or we're doing a sidewalk, there'll be like a little flag on the City of Harvard Grace. Click it on, it'll show you what we're doing. Department heads, commissions, when commissions meet, how to reach out to commissions, commission minutes, council meeting minutes. That's all on our city website. And also, you can just go to City of Harvard Grace on Facebook, and you get that information too. If there's a change in your trash pickup that week, or whatever you need to know, it's on there. But then the other part of Harvard Grace is the tourism and the events part, and that's exploreharvardgrace.com or Explore Harvard Grace on Facebook, and that'll give you, the calendar events, like what day of the week First Friday's on. I get that question all the time. When is First Friday? Anyway, and also tell you just all the things going on in Harvard Grace, what the local restaurants might have some specials, or what's going on at the State Theater, the Opera House here at the Star Center. So it's a really good resource. And my personal contact information is Bill M. Bill M at harvardgracemd.com, or you can reach out to my senior aide, Adam Brzezinski, at Adam R. Is that right? Adam R. Yeah, don't spell Brzezinski, but Adam R. at harvardgracemd.com. He's my senior aide. And we're always happy to help. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you in Harvard Grace. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. And with that, we are now at the end of today's program. And I would especially like to thank Harford County Executive Bob Castley, Harford County Council President Pat Vincenti, Aberdeen City Council President Adam Hyob, Mayor of Bel Air Kevin Bianca, and Mayor of Harvard Grace Bill Martin for everything they do in their elected duties and for being here today. I would also like to thank the members of the State of the Municipalities Task Force, and especially Veronica Rollicott, our Governor Affairs Director and the unsung hero of today's event, and all of you in our audience for being a part of this special and informative event. Wishing everyone a safe and healthy summer. Thank you.